Lāhui. Aloha nui kākou. Aloha velina e na ohana, na haumana, na kumu. Welcome to Kaʻiwakīloumoku, our Pacific Indigenous Institute here at Kamehameha Schools Kapalama. And we're really grateful for you guys joining us on this cold and windy Makahiki night. Can we all say, Lono ika Makahiki? See, we thought Makahiki was closing. Looked like Lono was still present. We're supposed to be sending him to Keola i Kahiki. You know, this type of weather, the ua, the makani nui, sometimes the hekili, all of these things kind of inform us on ways to act. This series, Lāhui Rising, was centered around this time of Makahiki, so we could gather our ohana and have wa e Walaʻau, wa e nanea, wa e moemoea. So a time to discuss, a time to relax and be together, and a time to dream and envision our future for our Lāhui Hawaii. This is actually our final Lāhui Rising event for this school or calendar year. We had 4 amazing panels. We had ʻōlelo ea back in November when Makahiki opened. We had vai ea in December when Makahiki was full-on raging. We had ai ea in January. And our closing one tonight is Mauli ea, as Makahiki is just starting to wind down, and Lono should be on his way to Tahiti, but as we can tell, Lono is still very present. Tonight we have an amazing panel of Kanaka leaders. These are practitioners who dedicated their lives to living Mauli and teaching Mauli in their communities. The ideas that they share are part of an effort to uplift the voice of our Lāhui on these major issues and the role that Kanaka worldview can have on our inherent ea. This discussion tonight, all the other ones was ea on our ʻōlelo, vai, ai. This ea is within all of us. And we want to talk about nurturing that ea. These practitioners, these hoa, are amazing leaders in that department. We're going to throw up here a QR code. So there's going to be opportunities for everyone to share your ideas and your mana'o on how we can incorporate ea into our own lives. All of our Lāhui Rising events, we've tried to capture the mo'olelo from our panelists as well as from our audience. And so we'll start with an amazing panel. We'll have our panelists come up, and then we're going to close with an opportunity for audience to discuss and to share your guys' hopes, your dreams, and ways that we can practice and strengthen our own Mauli and to continue to get our ea. And so at any point, you guys can go to the QR code, you can upload it there. We'll also be having small groups, and we can discuss and share all of those ideas in those areas. Again, here we are at Kaʻiwakīloumoku. This is Ululani Hale, and just for logistics purposes, we have restrooms on both sides of the hale, right outside, so please go and use. But I also wanted to highlight the most important, the best part, is our Ono ʻāina Momona stew. Pai lima for Auntie Tammy, Uncle Danny. Auntie Tammy, Uncle Danny of Haki Pu'u, and their company Cater for Youth. And if you guys know Auntie and Uncle, they have been serving the Lāhui in so many ways and feeding the nation. And ea for us starts with what we put into our opu, we put into our minds. And so we knew we couldn't have this event without some amazing ʻāina Momona stew. So all the best foods from our ʻāina that we can put into a plate. So if you didn't have a chance, please go grab some more ʻāina Momona stew. It'll be there all night. And then if there's still extra at the end, please take home, because we don't want to take all of that back ourselves. You guys got a kokua in that department. But mahalo to Anake Tammy, Uncle Danny, and their ohana cater, their company Cater for Youth. Love you guys, Auntie. So grateful to have you guys. Mahalo. Okay, so as we introduce tonight's topic, you'll see we have ava flowing. Ke aloha ʻāina, my boy is over there making ava, he in ha'aipo. So again, help yourself to some ava, help yourself to ai. Our panelists up here will be enjoying ava to help the discussions flow, to help the Walaʻau connect to the ike of our kupuna. Their favorite drink, the favorite drink of our akua is ava. And so please enjoy some ava with us this evening. We have ava from Pu'uhoku on Molokai, and let's tap into some of those wavelengths of our kupuna. So this discussion is on Mauli. Can everyone say Mauli? Maikai. So Mauli is described as a life force, a spirit, a way of life. we don't want to wait for political air. That can be who knows how long. That's discussions beyond our control. This air that we're talking about tonight is air that we can take control of every day in the way that we do things, the way that we think, the way that we ʻōlelo, the way that we treat each other, the way that we carry ourselves. Tonight's panel is a combination of all of the amazing air discussions that we've had, but taking it right back to ourselves. How do we live air? How do we carry that forward? How do we project that, and how do we help lead that for our families and our communities? You know, we chose these panelists because we feel that they tap into their Mauli in ways that embody air. We were thinking about the idea of activists. And there's so many forms of activists, but I feel like these three are activists in the form of activating. They activate their communities, they activate their ohana, they activate their networks to be grounded, to be connected, and to uplift the Ike Hawaii of our ohana and to carry it forward to today. And so we're so grateful to have our amazing panelists. First, I'd like to introduce Auntie Dr. Kalei Nuʻuhiwa, who was born and raised on the island of Maui. Please welcome her up. She has worked with the restoration of the island of Kahoʻolawe, and her primary discipline is Papahulilani. She is one of our amazing resources in Kaulana Mahina, Hawaiian moon phases, and sharing that education into our community. Again, please help me welcome Anake Kalei Nuʻuhiwa. Our next hoa is Keola Chan, a kupa of Papakolea, a makuakane of Eha. He is an Oiwi practitioner and one of the original founders of Ahakane, helping to set the foundations for the advancement of Native Hawaiian men. Keola is also an alakai in the pā o Lonopūhā, helping to prepare a healer for every home and helping to lomi out all of the kinks and the ehas that our Lāhui has felt through all of these generations. Please help me welcome Keola Chan with another paipailima. And last but certainly not least is our hoa Ānuenue Pūnua, Paipailima. She is a kupa of Kaneohe Koʻolau Poko Oahu. She is an amazing makuahine, educator, and wahine aloha ʻāina who strives to prepare the next generation of leaders with skills grounded in our kupuna values and practices. Ānuenue was a founding kumu of Kamakau, Paipai o Heʻeia, and the ʻāina Momona hui. And she has taken my keiki on Koʻolau ʻāina Momona. So grateful to Ānuenue, where we were always teaching everybody else's kids. And we wanted programs for our own keiki, so Ānuenue helped to bring that to life. Paipailima for Ānuenue Pūnua. So as we have some ava here on stage for everybody, please, Ena Nea Pū, a server, mahalo. Whew. Okay. We'll begin with first things first, ava for everybody. Welcome again, and mahalo to our panelists. Inu e pū kahi kako ke kahi apu.
Mahalo.
Ka mau ki aha. Mahalo e oko. Ka mau. I don't know about you guys, it definitely helps me ease into talking in public. So again, how about a huge hand for our panelists joining us this evening? Let's dive into this wala'au, this kuka. We are gonna try, they have mics almost like Janet Jackson, so don't mind if you see them dancing and moving and doing hula motions as they share. We're gonna try to give it our best. But mahalo nui ya oko e na hoa, e ka ohana for joining us this evening. Maybe we'll start with this nino, a ho'olauna. You know, we've had several themed Lāhui risings where each panelist worked in similar areas or held similar expertise. But this Mauli Ea panel is unique. E Umahoa, please share a little bit about yourself and the work that you guys do. Go ahead.
You know, he sent questions, right? So we're supposed to be prepared, but it always happens when you're in front of people. It just goes away, right? So just want to say thank you to all of you for coming this evening. Before I start answering my question, And yeah, because I think time is, and I say this all the time to people, but time is it's like a bank, right? Once you make the withdrawal, it's one of those banks where you can't insert more time in. So thank you for deciding to spend your time here this evening with us. I'm very honored for that. And yeah, so what do I do? I'm currently on the second to the last day of my job. I'm going to leave tomorrow. It's my last day on leap day. I've been working with Conservation International now for 2 years. It was a fellowship. It was actually, it's kind of a culminating thing. I've always been involved in conservation, whether it's conservation of language, conservation of voyaging, conservation of cultural practices, Koʻolau, et cetera, et cetera. So it just naturally brings you back to the environment anyway, and so that's what I've been doing in the last 2 years now on the global scale. And yeah, so I'm happy to say that I'm semi-retired now and will actually do what I want to do, which is, I don't know yet. I have to find out what that is, what the next project is. But yeah, thank you.
Mahalo ke.
Aloha mai kākou. Keola Chan, I just want to first start off, mahalo Kamehameha Schools for opening this space to have these kind of important conversations for the Lāhui, to Lāiana for the invitation, and Keola Chan, for the last 2 years, prior to this, excuse me, we were supposed to make corrections to the intro, but the Ava took precedence in our room. And so I didn't get around to it. I just want to give credit because I am not a founding member of Ahakane. I was the executive director. Kamana'o Pono Crab, Umikai, and Billy Richards are responsible for that movement. I just tried my best for the last 10 years to do that work in our community. But 2 years ago, I stepped away from that work and have committed to doing what is really my passion, which is building capacity of traditional healers in our community. To first and foremost, establish a healer in every home. Our kupuna, that was a form of their sovereignty, is that they didn't have hospitals and Queen's hospitals and Long's drugs to get their medicine. They had to know that. They had to have that Ike within. And so it's a vision, a goal of mine to instill a healer in every home. And then beyond that, to build practitioners that are accessible for the larger Lāhui as we begin to heal and move forward as a people. So that's kind of work I enjoy doing. So it's a mahalo to you for having me here.
Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou, o wau o Ānuenue Pūnua, ke kama a Leroy, kuʻule aloha Pūnua laua o Primrose Kaheaku Pūnua, no Koʻolau poko mai au. Kane ohe, I think we brought the rain tonight.
Thank you.
Keiki Koʻolau mau mau. What do I do? I'm a mother. I'm a makuahine, I'm an educator, and I'm really fortunate that I live in the home that my family has lived there for the past 5 generations. And I really take that personal and to heart because I know that that's a big reason to why I feel so grounded in my community. And is that me?
It's Lono.
And
Kane.
so, growing up, I'm an educator because it kind of just fell that way. It fell into, my mother was an educator as a kupuna in the kupuna program. And then I became really struck by ʻōlelo Hawaii. And that kind of was my guiding star. I came to Kamehameha with a really strong desire to learn ʻōlelo Hawaii, and Kumu Keala was my first Kumu, ʻōlelo Hawaii here at Kamehameha. And it changed everything, and it made it made it clear to what I was supposed to do, even though I didn't know what that was until I continued on. But for me, that's kind of, I guess I'm a kumu. He kumu kula wau, ke manawa, a'oi ka ʻōlelo Hawaii. I also do have Koʻolau ʻāina Momona, which is really to get the next generation of keiki Koʻolau to know their ʻāina and to be able to feed themselves, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and to be the next advocates for their community. Mahalo.
Yo, mahalo. You know, Kanakas, we can talk about ourselves. I know it's very hard, but the three of them are such amazing pillars to our Lāhui, and I'm so grateful to each of you for your work. It's directly helped to uplift my ohana. It's that directly helped our community, our students, our families, and really an honor to have you guys. I know you guys just shared the tip of the iceberg of the things that you guys do. But I want to kind of go a little deeper into just your guys' ideas of what is your understanding of Mauli and ea, and maybe we'll take it from there and open it in that way. This way.
I was first introduced to that word Mauli, and I will say it was introduced when when we started Ke Kulau Kamakau, and Kumu Makalapua Alan Castor, Ka'awa at that time, she introduced this document to me. It was called Kumu Honua Mauliola. It's a document in which really drives the ahapuna na leo and the philosophy of how we teach. And I remember at that time her sharing how it was a little controversial. Like there are some people who are for it, and there are some people who didn't feel it was necessary to write it out in a document. And for me, as a young kumu and a young opio learning about things, it was helpful for me because it articulated things that I grew up with in my ohana. I didn't have any mana leo in my ohana. My parents were, they were the generation that weren't taught ʻōlelo Hawaii. And so what happened was, although they couldn't ʻōlelo Hawaii, I grew up in a very Hawaiian household. And I learned that later on as I started to teach and realizing that everything we did was Hawaiian outside of speaking Hawaiian, the little things, right? Like you don't sweep at night or you kahi the bowl, you get good lickings if you don't kahi that poi bowl. And I thought that was how everybody grew up until I went to school and I realized that was not what was happening with my, Tori Kobayashi, who was my friend next to me, right? Like that wasn't happening in her ohana. And it kind of blew me away at that time. And, I'm a youngest of 5. And the generation gap is pretty big with us. And I realized that I have different parents from my eldest siblings. And I realized that by the time I came along, my parents were in this place of, they were, I guess the Renaissance, ʻōlelo Hawaii and everything Hawaiian was good, was becoming this renaissance within the people. And my mom was very supportive of me doing this. Like, she goes, yeah, you should ʻōlelo Hawaii, because none of us do. And I guess my pathway was pretty open and very supportive. And so Mauli, for me, is we wake up every day, right? We breathe, we internalize what we're gonna do for the day. It's the pule that you do. It's that life force that pulls you. It's that line that constantly goes. And sometimes, if it gets hindered or covered by other things, we just have to come back and rekindle it. And for me, ʻōlelo Hawaii was that thing. It was the thing that started to kind of pull me out of whatever I thought wherever I was, and it gave me vision. But
mahalo. So ʻōlelo, Mauli being every day, everything is a part of Mauli. I love it. Mahalo. Holomua Keola, Inahiki?
So Mauli for me, it's the work that we do, of course, and we get to see it manifest in people. In the classes that I hold with the future practitioners in our community, I kind of share it to them like this. I try and keep it simple, where it's where all things have mana, but it is that the Mauli, that driving life force that gives it that life to animate itself within our spaces and in the living space. I appreciated this question because I really had to think about ea too at the same time. This idea of having a sense of peace, a sense of freedom, of this autonomy. And I really think about Mauli, for me, like I had shared with, a healer in every home, it really starts in the home. We cultivate that Mauli. It's given to us at birth. It's that kihe Mauliola, At the same time, it is that life force that is cultivated within the family system. And I think it's important for us as Kanaka because once we close our doors, we are sovereign. That is where ea begins for us. That is where we still have full control over, like you said, what we eat, what we feed, what we hanai the next generation. And the vision that we hope for in the future with the next generation, really it belongs in that home. So education for us is in that space. And I think it's us reclaiming the mana that we have to instill that ea and cultivate our the Mauli, that which in turns, which is displayed physically then and demonstrated and witnessed in our mana as we exude that for our people in the community. Yeah.
Leo, mahalo. Mana, Mauli. The mana in our leo, in our hana, in our actions. And at home is where ea begins. I love that. Mahalo nui.
Yeah, mahalo. Yep. You know what is bad about listening to other people? It changes the trajectory of where your thoughts are. Which is great. Thank you, mahalo nui. But Mauli means that actually to do a little bank too as well. Okay, for real, go look in the dictionary. That's exactly what it means. Okay, Mauli, as I understand it, and I'm like you, Keola, ea and Mauli are sort of hand in hand in a lot of ways. So I'm going to explain what I know it from my point of view, and this is the world according to Kalei. Doesn't necessarily mean that this is what it is for everybody, because I understand everybody comes to their own understandings on their own terms, in their own time, and as you evolve, we have to allow evolution too, gang. As we evolve in the way that we think and practice, those things change for us. So this is me saying to you that your Mauli never really changes. It is your essence, it is your spirit. It's what is your life force, as these two have so eloquently talked about in their ways. You can imbue Mauli into other things too, as we do with Hokulea. And as we do with other things, maybe you have a umeke or a kanoa and you give it a name, or you have a lo'i or a fish pond and you give it a name. You just imbued it with a spirit. And so that's kind of saying that we have that kind of power too as well. That's this autonomy that Keola talked about. An agency to do that. We do that all the time. We name our slippers, our kupuna name their implements, we name our cars and those kinds of things. We still do it today.
Right.
It's very much a part of our practice. So Mauli has to have a body, a physical body that it must be in. It cannot just be the air that's in the air. That's not the air we're talking about. That's a whole nother different air, spelled the same way, but totally different. Air is what moves things. And as you go throughout life, you change from one thing to the next. So your Mauli is sort of fueled by that air. And I know when I was younger, I was so determined and feel, when you're younger, you kind of a little bit, just too much, too much of that. You don't know how to control the but that's your air right there, and you're going to run with that. That's what you run with, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You love it. It feeds you, and then I'm going to get involved with ʻōlelo Hawaii. I'm going to make my children ʻōlelo Hawaii. That's another air. That's a whole nother air that evolved out of where I was, and it feeds my Mauli. I have unlimited mana to continue to do those things. And then, of course, you have your own evolution into things. I started to do hula, I started to ʻōlelo, that was all about that. Chanting is all about that. It's just continues to build on your Mauli and gives you life force. And your air is that thing that gives you that mana to continue on, that passion. And as long as that's there, Mauli is in good well-being. And you have to allow it to change and evolve with you too, because that's going to change too. You're going to move into new things. Yeah, so I can see that, when I went from Kaho'olawe and then doing the voyaging, and then all of a sudden the lua thing was happening by all these passionate other Hawaiians who were doing things. They fed my air, and they made sure my Mauli was fed too. And then I could give back to my community. And so it's this circular, we always constantly talk about circular economy. We knew about that long time, gang. Long time. This is how we continue to be healthy and how we continue to be happy and productive. Otherwise, if we're not productive, your Mauli is still there, but your air is not feeding it like it's supposed to. So this is the way I see Mauli. And again, it needs a body, a physical being to be in. It cannot be out, because then it's called lapu. And if I'm going to quote somebody here, so Kepelino writes about this on page 35 in his 1935 book, if you want to read about that.
Love it. Notes.
Cited my source. And then in 1846, there's a long series called Kahōmana Kahiko, and P.W. Ka'ava talks about it. Talks about your Mauli, and talks about that idea of where you are fed and what this mental health is. And yeah, so anyway, our kupuna were onto it, and didn't mind letting it evolve to continue to feed them. So I'm looking forward to what's going to feed me on my next trip of air, and hopefully people come aboard and hang out a little while.
Mahalo na kea. Beautiful. Beautiful. Mauli needs a body. Air is what excites it and moves it. Beautiful.
I think it's the ava. Thank you.
It's got to be the ava. The ava has got some Mauli. I think what's unique is you guys are three amazing OEV leaders. But what influences might have shaped you guys or helped you guys to go on this path, or inspired you to stay on this path? Could be people, place, whatever. What influenced you and helped to shape your path? And maybe we'll start with Keola, and then we'll jump this way and then back to it.
Of course, ohana. You look. That's the first inspiration that comes about, good and bad. I think. If I look honestly at my ohana, there were definitely positive role models, and then there were role models that not necessarily were role models, but you use those examples to drive and push you in the opposite direction, in a way, that you hope that you don't become like that. So I don't want to sit here and say like my ohana was perfect, and I think it's important to really analyze and assess, because I think we often go to school and think that's where education starts and that's where influence starts, and it's often downplayed the importance of the home. The mo'oku auhau is paramount really for us in shaping that inherited mana for ourselves. So I think I really like to start at that point to really understand those influences. I would have to say I think everybody thinks we had the best Kumu. I think the same. I think I had the most amazing Kumu and mentors, people that made time in the community. Because, one of the things I learned at Ahakane is that a lot of the strain that our men feel in the community is because we feel like we got to carry the burden of being everything for our keiki. And the reality is you cannot, And I was fortunate because the constructs weren't around at that time. We didn't have a halimua, but I had amazing individuals in the community that stepped forth to mentor. And those were the influences that I feel continue still to today. And which is why I think I'm a huge advocate for our Hawaiian community in general. Like, we gotta be better at mentorship and succession planning, so that we can continue to hold these positions of leadership, hold these positions that cultivate Mauli, right, and ea. And it's only, it's that passing down of ike, rather than just go out in the world and figure it out, I think we have to be more purposeful and mindful of building consciously, not necessarily in the schools, because I think we're starting to get the ball rolling with our charter schools and stuff like that. And we have great role models for our kids in those spaces. It's the community. It's the community that we have to be more conscious of that inspiration and cultivation. Yeah.
Mahalo. Ola. Mahalo. Beautiful. Try this one.
They're like, hear me. Okay, I'm gonna move this on the side.
I have a lot of influence that I can call back upon, but I think one that is kind of calls to Mauli and the activation, and what Lāiana has spoken to is really when we started Koʻolau ʻāina Momona. And I feel that it came, it came because we had no child care for our keiki. All of our keiki were, I look in this room, there's all of you guys over here. And we looked around and all our keiki were at an age where there were no programming for them, like especially cultural program out in the community, serving our keiki. They were just like under that age. And we looked around and we said, what are you doing this summer with your keiki? What are you doing this summer for your keiki? And then we realized a lot of us were kumu. So we had summers off. And then it became, how come we're not teaching our own keiki? We teach everybody else's keiki in the Lāhui. We funnel all these kids through our lo'i, funnel all our kids through the loko i'a. And then it came down to, okay, I think that's what we're supposed to do. Just like what you shared, Keola, right? The mentoring of our keiki. And then Maili Kukahi came to mind, and that's when it started. I was like, oh yeah, Maili Kukahi. There's that ali'i that had peace. And why? Because everybody had a function and a kuleana, and they knew what they were doing for the larger Lāhui. And that's kind of how Koʻolau ʻāina Momona started. We had Auntie Tammy then in Hakipu'u. We had Ku'ike and Waimanalo, who was raising pigs, and like, oh, we can teach our kids how to clean one pig. And then we had even the Nahale'as in Kahuku. We had Kihei was working at Papahana at the time. We had a lo'ikalo accessible. I had Pai. We had Loko'i'au He'eia. Lāiana and Kami were great because they always taught us all kind of oli to be makokau for all different types of things. And that's kind of how it started, and our keiki went all over the place. But I think, the activation of creating that, and the keiki understanding, one, where their food came from, and not just that, like, you know, we can make laulau, and we can ku'iai, and we can do all these things with them, but it was like getting their ohana in there too. Like, oh yeah, anakala. And I remember saying this, I said, we're not gonna, every keiki in this hui needs to call everybody auntie or uncle. We're not going to build a relationship right now. This is not like, you know, you can send them to summer fun and then, hi, I'm your kumu. It's like, no, that's your auntie and uncle because, and I say this because I didn't want to start a nonprofit because then you have liability. Then you have all this outsourced. I said, we are the liability for our keiki. If you cannot trust me with your keiki and I cannot trust you, we are, you know, taking them in the ocean, on a canoe, in this thing, then maybe this is not the best thing for you, you know, and we're still going strong. All of our keiki, our oldest keiki graduated 2 years ago, and now the second round is graduating this year. Our baby, you know, Kia'i, is, you know, he's 2, but it's evolved. Like you said, our Mauliola has evolved because now we have different needs. We've attended to them. You know, that ʻāina Momona stew was created because we were at a rally for Mauna Kea, and at the table, they didn't think of what to serve all the thousands of people that were gonna come at the end at Kapi'olani Park. And when it came down to, how are we gonna bus in kupuna, and you're not gonna feed them? And then someone said, we do, you know, chili and hot dog. I said, why? You know, like when that's not ʻāina food. And so make a call, do a kahea to all of our farmers, and that's what happened. And on that day, we can say that we fed 10,000 people ʻāina Momona stew, and we had kupuna coming up crying because they told us, how much is it? I said, oh, it's free, auntie. You know, and then you got even a good gauge of our Lāhui, because some people were like, oh, I don't eat that. And it's okay, right? We're like, okay, well, we get other things, poi. Maybe some uala, I don't know. But it's a good way of activating and getting the ono for our Lāhui, or our people, not just, you know, everybody, to find out, like, wow, you know, maybe that's the activation of Mauli ea that needs to happen, is when you're eating something that you're not ma'atu anymore. But, oia ihola.
Mahalo.
Sorry, Lāiana, could you please ask me the question again?
Sure, okay.
Hello, my gang.
Well, we were talking about the Ava just taking deep, the depths of Kanoa-Wong.
No. This I will take responsibility for that. Where are we right now?
Well, we're talking about influences that help to shape.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Mauli and
Mahalo. So sorry. Okay. Yeah. Memory. I can memorize a 2,000-line chant, but what I had for lunch and what you just said 20 minutes ago, yeah. Influences, parents. My parents were my first influencers, and that's a word now, yeah, influencer. Not like that. Yeah, we had spankings in our house. It worked well. There's some sort of nerve over here that goes straight to over here. Yeah. My parents, for sure, and when we grew up, we didn't actually know we were living in a Hawaiian household. That wasn't like something that people said, oh, I practice Hawaiian culture. We were just living, you know, it wasn't a thing, we just lived. I come from a fishing family, and when I say fishing family, we 80% survived on fish every day. My dad was a beach boy, like a for real one. Not saying that the ones now aren't for real, but sorry. But my dad was trained by Duka-Hanamoku, so that I can say he's for real. But back in that era, every hotel on all of the islands went through a training with Duka-Hanamoku. Everybody did that if you were going to be a beach boy, and so my dad did that, and the training involved things like, of course, fishing, and then surfing, and how to save people in the ocean, and swimming, and that kind of thing. But they also had this full-on thing about how to weave little animals, fishes and horses, and I mean, that was a real thing. Everybody did that. Anyway, my dad did that. And on his lunch break, he would go fishing outside of Ka'anapali Beach Hotel and picked up our dinner every night. So when I say we subsisted off of that, we really did back then. That was something that we did, except on Wednesdays when it was my dad's payday, and we got steak and ice cream for that day. That was like one big deal Wednesday. But anyway, yeah, so that's the kind of living I had growing up, with lots of uncles around, lots of aunties around. You know, you don't know what you're doing. They just give you the mask and the snorkel and they tell you go outside and you just swim and you figure it out, right? I mean, they're around, but you just sort of figured it out. That was kind of my influence, really, was the environment. And that trust that kupuna had and uncles and aunties had for you and your abilities to go and just play freely. I can't think we do that kind of thing anymore. We're sort of a little more, we sort of have parameters now on our children. So there's no real free living so much like there used to be. I used to like to go to Kaho'olawe because that's something my children could experience there. In a sense, anyway. But yeah, I would say those are some of the influences I had just experiencing life. I didn't think I was smart when I was growing up. That's just how it was. It wasn't until I got involved with Hawaiian language. Actually, what happened was there was this woman named Puakanahele, and she used to live on Maui. And my sister and brother were in college, and they were learning Hawaiian language from her. And she would come to our house, because we were the Hawaiians, right, from Maui. And she would come and hang out in our backyard, and, you know, they would speak Hawaiian in the backyard, and I would be there with my children, and they were speaking Hawaiian, and I couldn't speak Hawaiian, you know, because they went to school with her. And so I was like, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make sure I change this. And, you know, my dad could respond, so I knew he knew Hawaiian too as well. Didn't know that as I was growing up. So I would say that was the very first influenced example of somebody outside of the family. And yeah, so then I totally jumped into that. It was a time when your parents and a bunch of other people were doing exactly what Ānuenue is talking about. Hey, you go be the teacher, you do this. Hey, you go do that. Hey, you go do this. And that's kind of what it was on Maui. Yep, so I started doing Hawaiian there. And things just sort of came back really quickly into my head. I learned Hawaiian really quickly. And then that's when my parents, well, you know, when you were little, we had your sister, we put you stayed with your tutu, you actually could speak Hawaiian when you were a kid. And I didn't know that too. So, I mean, there's all these things that sort of happen. You just kind of have to allow the magic to happen. I think we all have experiences like that and influences of people. Sometimes the influencer is somebody of your era, your peer, and so they take on and goes, Ulalia, I'm using your words, not mine, I didn't come up with this. But they become your peers, like your kaikunane, your own brothers and sisters. And then sometimes you have people who take on the role as parents. Sometimes you have people who are outside of your family who take on the role of kupuna, and then you have experts who come in and sort of just kind of, and you have to be willing to let that happen. And yeah, and so, you know, I learned from Keola, I learned from Ānuenue, I learned from you, you know, I learned from many people who are sitting here in this room. And I think that's important to recognize, even if you think you're an expert, because, you know, at some point you're going to think you're an expert at something, you know. A real expert knows that learning is continuous. Oh, yeah. And that's a big influence in my life, learning to say, oh, well, I don't know all of that actually, but I'm willing to learn what that is. Didn't answer your question, sorry.
No, that was good, Anike. That was perfect.
Totally went off the cuff, sorry. You guys are on the car, I'm on my bicycle trying to catch up.
No, it was perfect, Anike. It was my kai. Mahalo to each of you for sharing your influences, your ʻōlelo. It's so beautiful. You know, I think this next one, I think, is more for our audience to think about as well, but I'm going to ask you guys, as pillars for our Lāhui in a lot of ways, how do you think that we as Kanaka especially those who are makua, who are kumu, who are in the community, who are on the ʻāina. And I just want to applaud all of our ohana in here. We have a lot of hammers and ko'is in this room. Pai pai lima. And we're using the phrase ko'i, because all the kids use hammer. I said, no, we're a ko'i. Because that's our thing, be the ko'i. And mahalo all of you. There's so many in this lumi. We love all of you guys. And I think this question is also for you guys to think about too. But I'm going to ask our panelists, how do you think that we as Kanaka, especially those of us who are makua, kumu, leaders on the front lines, can nurture and shape Mauli for our Lāhui and for Hawaii? This one requires an apu first, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know who would like to take it. Maybe.
I'll run with it. I'll run with it.
Perfect.
And then when my kite goes off on the wind, you just lower my kite, yeah. Yeah. So sorry. Inside the inner workings of Kalei's mind, that's how this is right now. It's the ava. Mahalo. I think our influence, again, I think our Lāhui is actually in a really good place, you know, gang. I really do. And we constantly are being compared to where other people are, and we always think we have to catch up to them. And a lot of times we are way, and you put in whatever expletive word you want to put over there, swear word, that might work sometimes. I think we're way ahead of a lot of people. A lot of times we're just not caught up to it in our own minds. And that's why we need each other. That's what our Lāhui can help us do, is remind us about those connections. And yeah, they ground you when you need it to be grounded. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be the kako'o. When people say, oh, you're the pillars of the community, I don't like being that pillar. Yeah. I'm not real good at a pillar, but I can tell you where to go using the stars and the wind and the rain. I'd rather do that. But yeah, pillar, I don't know about that. So yeah, yeah, I think our Lāhui is in a good place. I look across the room, I see all you folks here, which is great, and I know some of you all too, and the things that you're doing are great, and that's what we have to do. We just gotta be the best at we are in our own capacity. Just do the best. If you're going, you know, because that's what our kupuna did. If you were going to be a steely rubber dude, be the best steely rubber dude. Don't play that on KS stuff, but be the best one you can. They celebrated that. They celebrated Ka'iwa. They celebrated Umi's, thief, and all those people. They have stories. Puapua Lena Lena. There's all these thieves in our mo'olelo that were celebrated because they were the best that they could be. So it's an example. Don't be a thief. I'm not saying that. But to me, it's an example of being the best. If you make the best ʻāina Momona stew, and that is your expertise, you make that stew as best as you can, because that is going to give air to somebody's Mauli. So that's how I answer that.
Love it. Mahalo. Beautiful. The best that we can be.
Be the best.
Speaking from where I sit and where I'm at, actually, not just the work that I do, but the work that I'm currently finding myself in. And I had my good friend over here next to me remind me, you gotta practice what you preach. It was a good reminder. But I think one of the things I've seen, I've witnessed, and I'm going through is for us Kanaka to continue to heal. I think for generations, we thought that somebody else gonna come heal us. And like Kalei said, I think we're in a good place because I think we're awakening to the reality that we have it within us. And we need to look within. we're only going to be that better self, not by blaming, but reclaiming. Reclaiming our ʻōlelo, our culture, but really taking a deep dive, taking a deep look within ourselves as a Lāhui, as Kanaka, to be really honest with ourselves. That's hard, to be responsible. Easier to point the finger and blame. But I think when we start to, when we arrive at enlightenment, when we arrive at Lapaʻau, and we sit within that wisdom, it really is within. It really is us really looking forward, because we're not oriented to look to the future, right? We're oriented as Kanaka to look into the eyes of our ancestors. And so if we remain fixated on the things that have gone before us, then how easy it is, for us to move forward. But it is our responsibility to not just acknowledge the struggle, but celebrate the wisdom that Naʻauao, that ike, that they bestowed upon us, and the kuleana that comes with it. You can't have the kulana without the kuleana. And to hold that kuleana, you gotta build on strong kino. To oamo that kuleana, you really gotta build on strong kino, and nobody gonna do them for you. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard work. Sleepless nights. It's a struggle, but the benefits of it, more importantly for the next generation, you can see that reflection in the work that you put in. And we are here because we had, we were talking about some of those heroes earlier, and really, like I said, if you look back, you had some amazing leaders that laid that foundation for us to benefit from. And so when I say look within, it's not just look within, but it's look within like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Like Kalei said, you're not trying to shoot for, okay, they're up here, I'm gonna be like right here. The objective is to match or supersede. And I think for Kumu, for our Makua, it's the healing. To begin with the healing and to be honest with ourselves. Like you said, not to think that I know more.
Plenty tonight.
I tell you, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Heal.
Mahalo. Ya oi Ānuenue.
Mahalo. I kako all of that, because I think the best thing we can do is be the best that we are at, right? And where you're at in your season, your time of life, I think, I often hear this from some other makua, and I tell them, I said, it's okay, like heal, learning to heal, and that is hard. It's hard, it's constant. And I hear like, oh, I didn't grow up doing, Hawaiian things like that. But I say, yeah, but you Hawaii. You wake up every morning. You brush your teeth, just like you and I. You Hawaii. You are. And that it's okay, because now you have keiki. And now you have this knowledge of knowing. So the best we can do is holomu and do the best that we can for our keiki. And so for me, that's, I picked up Auntie Kalei at the gate this morning, or this afternoon, and she asked me, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, man, I'm so busy. Because I'm in that state of makuahood where sometimes I don't know where I'm at. Fortunately, one child is driving, so I know she's over there, and I have to pick up the other two. Hopefully they got home, I don't know. But I'm trying to be the best makuahine I can, and that when I get home, everybody's home safe, right? And And I think that's a constant reminder of breathe. Go to the kai, malama those kuleana that you need to do for yourself. Self-care. Self-care is very important of your Mauli ea. Whether it's up uka, whether it's in the ocean, whether it's just being at home and cleaning house sometimes, that helps us to cleanse ourselves. Take care of yourself, because then we can take care of our ohana, and then your ohana and all will take care of everyone else. So I think that's the best advice or the best kako'o that I can share.
Mahalo. I love it because it all starts within. It all starts within us to be the best that we can be. For maybe our parting question and mana'o, and then for you guys to help close, what is your dream state for our Lāhui and for Hawaii? And any final thoughts you guys want to share to our audience? And again, what is your dream state for the Lāhui and for Hawaii? And pairing it back to Mauli and Ea.
Okay. My dream state. Wow, man, that's kind of heavy, huh? I want to listen to you folks. I want us to be happy. I want us to find a place of happiness that we are, those of us who are still here in Hawaii or live here, we make the best Hawaii we can, and that means that everybody is, I think of all the people that come into my life, and there are so many, and big, important people that I've, same as you, like Keola shared, okay, now I get bigger kuleana because my Kumu is, or these people come into my life. And then there are people that come through and you don't know why they're there, but they come and they teach you all these lessons of yourself. And so I feel like every time when I meet people, I want them to be the best them of the person they can be. And again, it's to find happiness, and to heal yourself, and a thriving Lāhui that's eating food from Hawaii, less buildings, more ʻāina so that we can feed ourselves, and water flowing, because just like being at He'eia Fish Pond really taught me that once you open the water, everything else will heal. You just needed time. COVID taught us that too, right? We just take some people away for a year, 2 years. I mean, would be great for longer periods of time, but look what happens, the restoration of that. We can find balance in that, and I think that we can also find that kind of happiness, and oia ihola.
I'll roll with it. Yeah. Happiness is good, but having resolution to when you're not happy, I think is really important, because then we always feel like, well, I'm not happy, I will never achieve, you know what I mean? So if you can have strength, find ways to be strong. But for our Lāhui, to answer your question, I always think of profound things to say, and I really don't have anything profound to say. So I'm good with stories, so I can tell you a story. I go to Burning Man. I go to Burning Man for the last 6 years. I know everybody's like, what? Yeah, I do. I don't do drugs, but I enjoy other people who are, carrying on with the drugs or whatever. But what I learned from over there, I forgot this is KS, I shouldn't be saying that. You don't have to be fooling around that kind of things, get. Just let them go. But what I was trying to get to is when you're with that many people, 80,000 people in one space, in the same space at the same time from different cultures and all kinds of things, you learn really quickly that you have to accept people for who they are and what they do. And I know during Mauna Kea, I know you're thinking I went off the cuff, but it's going to come back, I promise. Hang on to your beberies. It all will match. Okay, so when I went to Mauna Kea, everything was all about kapu aloha. Kapu aloha, kapu aloha. I'm not big on kapu aloha because a kapu implies that there are consequences if you do not follow the aloha. And I think it sets you up for failure. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of kapu aloha, although while I'm in those spaces and somebody else's rule, that's their law and their rules, I will follow it to the best of my ability. But when I start to feel like I want to tell that person about, you know, them squeaking or whatever, and it's driving me nuts, I just remove myself, right? That's to me my kapu aloha. I can't, you know, if I know I'm not going to be able to keep it, I leave. I am a proponent from Burning Man, see how it all comes back again, to something I coined radical aloha, because you radically accept somebody for who they are, where they are, what they're doing. And I can now be at a ceremony, well, not, you know, a heavy ceremony, and if there's a spinning bunch of, you know, twirling people, don't want to point out what kind, you know, spinning, and while we're doing our things, I am in the space now where my radical aloha is like, they don't know how, but they're trying. So let them go, as long as they're not interfering with what I'm doing and they're doing their thing over there. That is radical aloha, because at the end of the game, we're all trying to get to that, whatever it was for us for Mauna Kea, right? Or whatever it is for us to get to our sovereign place that we need to be. Sovereign doesn't mean a government thing. It can be. That's good. But if we can learn how to be happy, find resolution when we're not, and let the spinning people with their sticks spin and drum, and still be good with where we are and how we are, that's good. This is radical aloha. So I feel like our Lāhui are the top dogs in this practice, and that we should be teaching everybody how to do that.
Radical aloha, mahalo anake. Took us to Burning Man and back. Love it.
See it all tied in.
Mahalo. Keola, Momona.
I think the dream state for me is really the dream space. I feel I think as Kanaka, we don't have spaces to really openly talk about dreams, about venturing into that space as Kanaka, because it's a space that we should all be embracing more, really being a lot more open to, because that's the cell phone to the ancestors. Because in the evening time when our kino wairua leaves, you get to journey with the kupuna and be inspired and learn. I think that's what makes us manafo as people, is when we reconnect to that phone line again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because truth and inspiration, the ability to see past, present, and future, we really know more that ability, but we have that ability through the relationship of our ancestors, and it happens in that space. And if you're really good, you can pull it into the hour space, into the day spaces. Some of you have that ability. You're sensitive enough that you can pull that reality from the spiritual realm and make it and manifest here. And I think as Native peoples, all Native peoples, you know, I was on a fellowship and we all have this story. We all have this understanding of journeying. When our body rests, our spirit, that kino wairo is able to wanana. And it's important for us to reclaim our spirituality as Kanaka again, and really confront ourselves and not demonize it. Because when we demonize these things, we really demonize us as Kanaka, us as Hawaiians. And so, if my dream state would be to start in that space, because that's why we pule, right? That's why we start off with pule. Mm-hmm. Because we start with whatever work, whatever presentation we're gonna have, we like manifest that first by getting the ancestors to align. right? You're going kanu, you're going hoiva'a, whatever kuleana we have, those protocols as we call them today, that ʻāina, that order that we're trying to follow, the ancestors are paramount. And we must engage with that realm as Native people again. Because that's what the foreigners no more. They are so distant from that. They had them one time. But we have it. We just have to look within. We have to heal ourselves and allow that Mauli to come forth, you know, and really, sovereignty is alive. It is there for us. We just gotta access it. We just gotta engage it. We just have to become familiar with that space again, rather than being afraid. Fear is one of those ma'i that our kupuna, they were very clear. I mean, you look at our culture, our kupuna was a lot of the things that we did was to combat or to address fear, you know. They would stand on the cliffs and really challenge themselves, the lele kava, to jump when you are fearful of what is below you. These things are about not running away from it, but facing it. And I think we need to face, like I said, ourselves, confront ourselves in this healing process, and really embrace our ancestral realm again. Yeah.
Ooh, mahalo. How about an amazing big hand for our awesome panelists? Such ono, Mauli, ea, dream the dream, radical aloha, kill, make happy. And it all starts within. Mahalo nui ia oko pakahi, mahalo ia oko e ka ohana. This concludes our panel portion. How about another big hand for our panelists? We now have just a very short breakout. We're gonna have different groups. You guys can kind of see around. We have poster boards. If anybody wants to go to different, this group on this side, we're not gonna have any cameras. But if everybody else is okay, we're just gonna kind of roam around and just kind of capture in the moment. But we want to capture your guys' ideas, because we're gonna bring up this mana'o that we want everyone to try to think about. What is it that you can do to nurture Mauli and ea? And what can you commit to? What will you commit to activate ea within yourself and others? And as we transition, we busted out more desserts. We have some lilikoi dessert, we have some uala, and of course there's ʻāina Momona stew. So please go and grab some and make your way to the groups. And paʻipaʻi lima one more time for our amazing panel. Ānuenue, Keola, Anake Kalei, mahalo nui ia oko pakahi hapau, lono i ka Makahiki.